Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Orthodox Banter with Bojan. I'm the Bojan in question, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have about Eastern Orthodox practice or theology from my own personal knowledge and experience. So today's second question comes from Autumn 2 PFR, and his or her question is, what was the history of development of the dialogue between the Anglican Communion on one side and the Orthodox Church on the other? And frankly, it's a rather interesting development. Up to the 19th century, I don't believe there was any contact between the Orthodox Church and the Anglican Church. So there was practically nothing. And what we've had in the 19th century, again, from what I know, it was very sporadic. It was basically based on individual initiative. And I believe that the Anglicans actually blocked the majority of the dialogue because of the Orthodox veneration of icons. However, come 20th century and things have changed considerably. The dialogue has become much more official. And by the way, this dialogue generally was not mere, common goals, social activities, and so on. I believe they were actually trying really hard to achieve some sort of actual practical liturgical unity. And when we see how these things developed, it did make sense at the time because, when you look at, early 20th century Anglicanism, you basically have Catholicism that was sort of, not really, but sort of petrified in the 16th century. You do not have papal infallibility. You do not have the Immaculate Conception, and one of the big things that separates Catholics and Orthodox, that is papal supremacy, is a non-issue with the Anglican Communion. So things were, going great. In fact, during the, I believe, First or maybe even Second World War, the Anglican Church was kind enough that they actually hosted a large number of Serbian seminarians, and they even allowed for the Orthodox liturgies to be served in their churches. So up to this day, the Serbian Orthodox Church allows Anglicans to serve the Eucharist at the Patriarchal Chapel of Saint Simeon the Mirgasher. This isn't a service that's served by both the Orthodox and the Anglicans. It's served just by the Anglicans, but of course the Orthodox officials are present there, and this is done as a sort of a thank you for their hospitality during the war, whichever of those two it was. I honestly believe that for the longest time, both the Orthodox and the Anglicans truly believe that the restoration of communion between the churches was so close. If I recall correctly, there may have been individual cases of intercommunion, so this was nothing official, but priests, bishops, and perhaps even some saints giving communion to the Anglicans on the basis of the unity is practically achieved by now. I believe it was perhaps Saint Nikolai Velimirovich or Saint Nikolai of Ohrid who did this. However, don't quote me on that. I'm simply trying to remember these specificities. I can't say that word. However, it all came crashing down in the 70s when Anglicans decided to ordain women, and that is when it all fell apart, sadly. And ever since, the Anglicans have dug themselves deeper into these positions that separate them from the Orthodox. Now, it's not only ordination of women to priesthood and episcopate, but it's also, having marriage services between the homosexuals and all of these other practices that are totally alien to the Orthodox Church. So it is a sad story. The initial rejection of unity by Anglicans because of icons, and I believe that the actual formal unity between the Orthodox and the Anglicans later on, when things were, peaking, was actually because Bulgarians insisted that the Anglicans accept the doctrine of transubstantiation, which the Anglicans resisted. And of course, some of you may say, well, that's Catholic teaching. Well, yeah, but some Orthodox accept it, and I myself don't have any issue with it. I mean, it sort of just describes what's happening with the communion, not the manner or way. Actually, it's more of describing the practical experience of what happens to the Eucharist. It still does look and taste like bread and wine. So yeah, it is a sad story where some liturgical unity was barely restored and nothing came out of it, and nothing will come of it unless, of course, we have individual parishes or priests or bishops converting to Orthodoxy. I know like of 2 cases of Orthodox converting to Anglicanism. It's comparatively rare, I think. Because of all of these issues I listed, and because the history of Anglicanism is that sketchy, with King Henry like saying no to Pope because of the divorces. But those initial beginnings clearly did not impact the Orthodox leadership too much in order to provide for possible future liturgical unity. Practically everything that I have said here, I'm simply, as you would say in Serbian, pulling out of my little brain. I can't really quote you any sources or anything. I'm just trying to remember things as I have, run into them over the course of my short life. That's it, and I hope I was of some use to you. Bye.